It was March 14th, 1998, deep into Michael Jordan's final season with the Chicago Bulls. Every arena he walked into carried a sense of history, because fans knew they were witnessing the last dance of the game's greatest player. But this night in San Antonio was different. This wasn't just another stop on Jordan's farewell tour, it was a collision with the future. The Spurs had something no one else in the league could match. Two towers standing side by side in the paint. David Robinson, the Admiral, was already a proven MVP, a scoring champion, and one of the fiercest defensive anchors the game had ever seen. And next to him was Tim Duncan, just a rookie, but already showing the poise and dominance of a veteran. The talk around the league was that Duncan would be the face of the NBA's next era, the man who could carry the torch once Jordan stepped away. The Spurs were young, long, and powerful. The Bulls were older, battle-tested, and looking to defend their dynasty one last time. And in this showdown of eras, past, present, and future, it wasn't Robinson or Duncan who dictated the night. It was Michael Jordan, the man who had ruled the league for over a decade, stepping on the Spurs' home floor to remind everyone that before the crown was passed, they still had to go through him. The game opened with both teams feeling each other out. The Bulls leaning on the man who had carried them through so many battles before. They went straight to Michael Jordan in the post, where he sized up his defender and went into a signature fadeaway. The shot rimmed out, but Tony Kukoc was right there, crashing the glass and tipping it in for Chicago's first statement. Not long after, Scottie Pippen came flying down the floor in transition. San Antonio's defense never picked him up, and he punished them with a confident three-pointer that gave the Bulls an early spark. Jordan wasn't going to settle after his first miss. The next time down, he went back into the post against Vinny Del Negro. With measured patience, he backed him down, pivoted smoothly toward the middle, and dropped in a soft layup that showed his touch was locked in. On the other end, however, a new challenge awaited. Tim Duncan, the highly touted rookie, was getting his first taste of Jordan's intensity. Jordan slid over on a weak side rotation and met Duncan at the rim, erasing his layup attempt with a thunderous block that sent a clear message. But Duncan was not intimidated. Just one possession later, he returned the favor, sliding across the lane to swat Jordan's fadeaway. In the duel of generations, it was one block apiece, proof that neither side was backing down. David Robinson soon found his moment. Catching the ball in the mid-post with Kukoc on him, the Admiral rose with calm confidence and drilled a jumper over the smaller defender. Still, Jordan wasn't done leaving his imprint on the quarter. Fighting for an offensive rebound, he gathered the ball while stumbling, threw up a desperate attempt off the glass, and somehow banked it in while drawing the foul. The free throw completed the three-point play, a reminder of his relentless will to score. The Spurs, though, showed why their future was so bright. Duncan attacked from near the free throw line with a smooth drive, finishing with a scoop off the glass. Robinson followed by trailing a play and knocking down a pure mid-range jumper that kept San Antonio within striking distance. Yet when the final seconds of the quarter ticked away, it was Jordan who silenced the crowd. Pippen fed him the ball, and Jordan spun baseline, used a shot fake, and buried the jumper with 2 seconds left. It was a fitting exclamation point to a dominant start. At the end of the first quarter, Chicago led 27-17. The second quarter opened with the Spurs trying to cut into Chicago's lead. Tim Duncan, never rattled even as a rookie, went straight to work on the block against Dennis Rodman. Using his strength and perfect footwork, he spun smoothly and dropped in a hook shot off the glass. It was the kind of calm, fundamental finish that gave him the nickname, the Big Fundamental, and it reminded everyone in the arena that the future of San Antonio's franchise was already polished beyond his years. Chicago answered through Tony Kukoc, who had been aggressive early on. He attacked along the baseline and maneuvered past David Robinson, extending with his left hand to finish the layup high off the glass. But Robinson, always ready to respond, established his own rhythm. Catching the ball in the mid-post, he didn't hesitate, rising over Kukoc and knocking down a clean jumper that showed his smooth touch for a big man. For a few possessions, the game turned into a back and forth exchange of inside strength and outside finesse. Jordan had been quiet to start the second, but when he curled off a pinned down screen, he rose effortlessly into his jumper and drilled it, reminding the Spurs that no matter how well their big men played, he could change the game with a single shot. Then San Antonio showcased the chemistry between their twin towers. Robinson was being fronted in the post, but Duncan recognized the angle and delivered a perfect lob pass over the defense. Robinson spun backdoor and hammered down the alley-oop slam, igniting the crowd and giving the Spurs a surge of energy. Yet Jordan wasted no time in slowing their momentum. On the next trip, he rejected a screen, pulled up after a quick dribble, and drew contact on the jumper from Monty Williams. He calmly sank both free throws, keeping Chicago just ahead. The battle on the boards defined much of the quarter. When Scott Burrell missed a mid-range jumper, Jordan outjumped Robinson himself to grab the tip-in. A breathtaking display of his determination and athleticism, even against one of the best rebounders in the league. The Spurs, however, made sure to close strong. With the clock winding down and only seconds left in the half, Robinson tried to create in the post, but missed badly. Duncan was there again, sliding into perfect position and tipping the ball in before the buzzer. The Spurs had clawed their way back behind the interior dominance of Duncan and Robinson, trimming what once felt like a comfortable lead. But despite San Antonio's run, the Bulls still held the advantage. At halftime, Chicago led 40-39, setting the stage for a tense second half where every possession would matter. The second half opened with the Bulls running a sharp offensive set. They used a cross screen to free Tony Kukoc, who cut into the middle of the lane and softly floated in a left-handed shot. It was a reminder of how valuable his versatility was, giving Chicago another scorer who could create in different ways. The Spurs responded immediately through their anchor. David Robinson caught a lob inside, used a crafty pump fake to shake his defender, and then threw down a powerful two-handed dunk that brought the San Antonio crowd to life. Jordan, though, always had a way of regaining control. He attacked Robinson head-on, planting with a strong jump stop before pulling up for a short mid-range jumper that dropped right over the Admiral's outstretched arm. His touch in traffic was flawless, and it showed why he was able to score on anyone, regardless of size or strength. Chicago kept pressing. When a Spurs player tried to save a loose ball from going out of bounds, it ended up in the hands of Dennis Rodman. Without hesitation, Rodman found Jordan waiting in the short corner. Jordan calmly rose and buried the jumper, punishing San Antonio's mistake and stretching the Bulls' momentum further. The Spurs' backcourt worked to shift things. Avery Johnson attacked off the dribble, drew two defenders to him, and then floated a perfect pass to Robinson, who powered in a dunk with authority. The Spurs needed every ounce of Robinson's energy to keep pace, but Jordan was relentless. Backing down in the post, he spun toward the middle, absorbed contact, and finished with a strong layup at the rim, proving that finesse and strength were both part of his arsenal. On the other end, Johnson once again looked for his big man. He lobbed it high, and Robinson soared to grab it, hammering home yet another alley-oop that had the arena roaring. The Bulls, however, still had the ultimate trump card. Late in the quarter, Jordan found himself isolated in the mid-post against Robinson again. This time he went right, rising smoothly into his patented fadeaway. Even with Robinson contesting, the shot fell clean through the net. A picture-perfect reminder that no matter how well the Spurs defense executed, Jordan could still create offense on his own terms. By the end of the third quarter, the Bulls had stretched their lead once more. They went into the final frame ahead 68-59, with Jordan dictating the tempo and the Spurs searching for answers against his unstoppable rhythm. The final quarter began with San Antonio leaning on their young star. Tim Duncan took his position in the low post and methodically went to work against Dennis Rodman. With calm footwork, he turned to his right and dropped in a soft hook shot off the glass, a move that already looked like it would anchor his career for years to come. But just when the Spurs thought they were gaining momentum, the Bulls struck back in transition. Michael Jordan led a 3-on-1 break and delivered a perfectly timed no-look pass to Tony Kukoc. Despite the traffic, Kukoc somehow adjusted midair and hit a circus shot while drawing contact, electrifying the Bulls bench and quieting the crowd. Duncan, however, continued to showcase maturity beyond his rookie status. Reading the defense with patience, he waited for his cutter to clear before spinning off his man. Kukoc tried to help, but Duncan was already finishing with a smooth layup off the glass. It was a move that displayed not just his size, but his feel for the game. Still, Jordan was determined to keep control. Posting up, he spun off contact and powered his way to the rim, finishing through the Admirals challenge. On the next possession, Jordan drew the double team in the post. Instead of forcing a shot, he made the right read, kicking it out to Steve Kerr at the top of the key. Kerr stepped confidently into the open three and buried it, proving once again why Jordan trusted him in big moments. The Spurs countered through Robinson, who worked deep into the paint against Rodman. After absorbing the bump, he elevated, released a jumper, and got both the foul and the soft roll, and in one that reminded everyone why he was still one of the league's most dominant big men. The game tightened, but Jordan thrived when the pressure rose. With the shot clock ticking down, he used a subtle hesitation, took a strong dribble to his right, and calmly knocked down a jumper that silenced the building. Not long after, he delivered perhaps his most breathtaking play of the night. Anticipating a double team, he crossed over to his left, attacked with speed, and finished at the rim over Duncan with a smooth left-handed layup. It was vintage Jordan, adjusting mid-play to beat size and timing with pure brilliance. The Bulls sealed the game in style. Kukoc handed the ball off to Pippen, who slashed to the basket and delivered a thunderous dunk that put an exclamation mark on the night. The final score read 96-86 in favor of Chicago. On a night when Tim Duncan and David Robinson showed why they were the future of the league, Michael Jordan reminded everyone that the present still belonged to him. This night in San Antonio was more than just another regular season win. It was a meeting of eras, a glimpse of the NBA's future standing face to face with the greatest of its present. Tim Duncan displayed poise and fundamentals that would soon carry the Spurs to championships. David Robinson showed the strength and athleticism that had already made him an MVP, but neither of them, not even together, could eclipse Michael Jordan. He controlled the pace, delivered in the biggest moments, and closed the game with the kind of poise only he possessed. The Spurs had youth, size, and promise, but Jordan had something they couldn't touch: an iron will to win and the mastery to impose it on anyone in front of him. On March 14th, 1998, the future arrived in San Antonio, but it left humbled. Michael Jordan showed Tim Duncan and David Robinson exactly who was still the boss.